All right, Graham, are you ready? All right.
As I get.
Ready
yeah.
as you get. Okay, so this is Marcus and Graham.
Howdy.
We are here making this little bit of a video. It's sort of a beginning of a podcast. We don't even have a name for it yet. This is totally new and should be really organic, but we were just so inspired by a current topic that we wanted to get in here and make this little commentary sort of video. So just a little bit on me. Marcus D. Sabella. I own Heeltoe Automotive. We've been doing Honda and Acura parts online for almost 19 years now, and made a lot of people happy. I like to say that I've been online longer than Facebook. Yeah,
It's a hallmark.
So that kind of wakes people up a little bit. And I've actually had a YouTube channel since I want to say about 2005, and really it never got a whole lot of attention. I put some stuff up, just little clap together exhaust videos and whatever. Over time I've had help from friends get some really better videos posted, but then one day I met Graham. Graham is Minute Rice channel.
Yep.
So tell us a little bit about your videography adventures.
So, I mean, I've been doing video production and editing more or less since I was a kid. But yeah, I've just gotten into it in a professional capacity in the last couple of years. I'm a trained graphic designer, and I met Marcus through a mutual friend of ours when I was supercharging my Civic Si. So I'm a car enthusiast through and through. And yeah, Marcus and I have clicked pretty well together, and I've done all of the editing for Marcus for the last, what, 2, 3, maybe 4 years.
At least the last 3 or 4 years.
Yeah.
Yeah, actually, so we started with this CRX project that was supposed to be like our groundbreaking awesome thing where the car isn't running yet. But
and it will be one day.
That was 2016. Yeah, one day it will be. And we'll be here with a great video to show you with some real legacy footage. So like, the car will be running when I'm gray, but I'll be looking young.
Yes.
Yeah, in the videos.
It'll be a time capsule.
Yeah, so
it'll be my worst work probably.
yeah, well, you know what though, this working relationship has gone kind of far, and I think that's what makes you kind of a natural choice to bring along with me for this. You're first of all here with me, which is great. You are an automotive guy, but cut from a little bit of a different sort of background. Yes. Similar cloth, but maybe the opposite side.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know.
Well, I mean.
Yeah, Subaru shirt.
Yeah, I brought a Subaru shirt to a Honda channel.
Yeah,
I'm sure
exactly.
People are gonna have something to say about that. I love
vaping. It'll be about vaping.
Yeah. Or about a Corvette, maybe. Huh?
Yeah, it could be a Corvette. Which, that kind of brings us to why we're here. I had an opportunity to go to the private reveal of the NSX Type S in Monterey, and I've been to one of these before. I was at the Type S reveal in 2019, and these little private parties are super awesome. If you're a big Honda fan like I am, a lifelong blue blood Honda guy, getting to go to some of these things is really kind of exciting and a rare opportunity. And I got a lot of traction on social with the Type S reveal, and I thought, hey, NSX Type S reveal, this is going to be off the chain, right? So I got to go, right? I got to go and video the unveiling of the NSX Type S. It was really awesome. I had a really front row seat.
Yeah.
And that video, Graham didn't have any part of that one.
Nope.
No editing. I was remote, and I just took that thing with my phone and pushed it straight to YouTube. And in just about 3 weeks, a little more than 3 weeks, I guess, it's almost at 2 million views.
Which is not typical for our efforts necessarily.
No, we don't usually have videos that do that.
No, but Marcus has a lot of access these days to Honda and Acura kind of culture. And so he wisely leveraged it and brought you guys that piece of video that has exceeded our expectations.
And that wasn't the only great video that I put up that week. Just the week prior, I was at NS Expo, and Acura had brought out their MDX Type S, a pre-production model, just to kind of show off. I mean, that's kind of what encouraged me to do the NSX one, is I had done the same thing just a week prior with the MDX. And even that video has gotten a ton of views, more than 50K, I think, by now.
Yeah.
Just really atypical for what I normally see. So, that's brought in a lot of new subscribers. It's brought in a lot of new attention, which is really fantastic. But I did want to make a comment that I'm not always going to be able to do these types of reveals. The opportunities only come up so often. And so coincidentally, the MDX and then the NSX, and then, which we'll talk about later, the Integra drone show was a really good video also. These are not the type of videos that I'm always putting out, but it's anytime that I can, I definitely will. Mostly what you're going to see from us is maybe like some DIY videos, I've got a TLX Type S, the HT spec TLX-S.
That he's going to be modifying as he goes, both the body, I know that he has parts that he's got in development, and exhaust pieces, and I'm sure a reflash and whatnot might be in the future
Yeah,
too.
I mean, and getting this Tiger Eye Pearl TLX Type S was supposed to be our like, we're going to break out and make really great videos. And you know what? Those videos have been doing really, really well.
Yeah.
But, you know, that's more of the type of stuff you'll see the everyday Honda guy doing a thing, promoting a part, building a car, whatever. So anyway, welcome to the channel.
Yeah, and thanks for watching and subscribing.
Absolutely.
We have gained 3,000 subscribers. We've almost doubled subscriber count in the last 30 days. So welcome.
Just out of control. So anyway, with that out of the way, part of the reason for this video, actually the whole reason why we got motivated to do this, was because the comments. Oh my God. Having a video that gets 2 million views incites a lot of comments, right? Thousands of comments. And, you know, I'm really good about responding to comments on videos. And I had to throw in the towel after like day 2 because there's just too many of them. And really, we can narrow them down to a few key. There's really only a couple of things that people are actually saying in 2,000 plus views, or I mean comments.
Yeah.
So
it gets a little copy paste. But Marcus and I were having a beer at a meeting a couple weeks ago, and he was like, "This is driving me nuts. All these comments," and we got riffing on it so hard that he was like, "We should really have like a video where we just talk about this."
Yeah, we need to address this, right? So now I can't reply to all the comments that are there. Most of them aren't even worthy of being. So this is your reply to the comments to that video. C8 Corvette. Apparently Acura made a C8 Corvette.
Yeah, they ripped him off, man.
Yeah, 4 or 5 years after they made an NSX, they brought out the same exact car with a different bumper, and now it's a Corvette.
Yeah, those sons of bitches ripped off Chevy.
I can't. And how did they have access to the Chevy final design so many years ahead of time?
Well, Honda was so dedicated to rip them off, they made a time machine.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Which I think would be within the realm of their power.
You know, maybe this is part of that electric car deal that they have, right? It's like, you know what, we're going to pre-make the C8 for you.
We're going to beat them to the punch.
So ultimately, Graham and I's opinion on this is that y'all are crazy. The NSX does not look like a C8. If anything, a C8 looks like an NSX just because it came out after. But once we really started looking, and there were comments about, oh, it looks a little like an Audi R8, or it looks a little bit like this. You know what? What you're saying is it looks like a hot mid-engine supercar.
Yeah.
And that's exactly what it is, isn't it?
Yes, yeah, and I made the point to Marcus that, you know, if you're comparing all these different cars, you can't help but then add in Ferraris, Lamborghinis, all these other cars, where you start to see there is this completely inescapable design shape that you have to use when you make these cars. You get some occasional differences between the two, you know, as someone designs it, but it's like, if you actually look at these cars, which
we're going to do that now.
You would hope that somebody commenting would maybe do, but if you're worth...
No, they didn't. They saw the NSX and they said, that looks like a Corvette. And you know what? If I just go like this. Oh, two
take your
sports cars.
Off.
Yes, they do look similar. But guess what? Every car that has this sort of layout has the same profile and the same basic shape. But there's some details here that are really very different. I mean, first of all, this is not the Type S NSX. I couldn't pull a picture up quickly. But basically, the front end of it is not so different than this. The strakes and the bumper go the opposite of the Corvette. These ones go up in the middle. The NSX Type S ones go down like this. This one's got these vents on the hood, no vents. The headlights are way big up here, and these are like have LEDs in them. This is an LED array below the fender.
Yeah.
I mean, this little scoop here is really pronounced, and it comes out really hard. We've all seen this, right? And it makes a really wide, broad hip in the C8. But in the NSX, it's much higher up, and it actually creates this buttress in the back. It's tighter to the body, though. This is like an aerodynamic element versus this being a big intake, right? And they make the ass of the C8 so big so that they can put golf clubs in the back. They actually did say that they did it. And it's not even really worth talking about the rear end. The rear end is so different This is totally Corvette from the back.
Yeah, the Corvette has a lot of angles that this more slippery NSX doesn't. But in all reality, I think we can agree that the people posting these kind of comments are really just whacking a beehive.
I think they are.
They're not
whacking a beehive.
They're not really like trying to make like an analytical discussion.
Well,
about
no, none of them
cars.
are.
Yeah.
There's no analysis at all.
Yeah.
But hey, you know what? Listen, it's the internet and it's YouTube, and people have, this. I get it. I've been online, like I said, longer than Facebook, so I've gotten in plenty of conversations and arguments.
They used to call them flame wars back in the
flame
old
wars.
days.
Yeah. Get out some popcorn.
Yeah.
But hey, you know what? I just had to address it. Say like globally, I totally disagree with you. It doesn't look like a C8. They don't look like each other. And once you get inside the skin of the cars, they couldn't be more different.
You are categorically wrong, and you are a buffoon, sir.
Yes.
Yes.
You know what? But you know what? You're obviously not alone.
Yeah.
Because at least 1,000 of the comments said something about the C8 Corvette. Out of control. So anyway, the other thing to just sort of address is a lot of people were making comments about how the NSX was sort of a fail. I mean, there's a lot of positive comments too, people that know, but they think that the second generation NSX on the whole was a general fail because it was way too expensive. It's got technology that nobody really seems to care about, apparently. It doesn't have as much, horsepower, and it isn't so fast. And it's nothing as groundbreaking as the original one was. But guess what? The original one, they had to invent whole new manufacturing processes just to produce that aluminum car. They also changed the way that the market looked at supercars. They could be reliable and usable every single day. Well, we're in a different age now. The first NSX already left its mark, so now where do you go from there? What they've really done in a sort of way, democratized hypercar technology into a supercar. Mm-hmm. Now, we can only loosely say democratized because who can really afford a $880,000? But still, this is technology encroaching on like Porsche 918 Spyder.
Yeah.
Right? Like they've done
Which
it.
is $1 million.
That's $1 million. Yeah. So, if you want that kind of tech, you can get it under 200K.
Well, and when you look at the story of Honda in general, it's always been about trying to kind of up the ante and challenge the norm. Mm-hmm. And so I think it's not that surprising to look at a car like an NSX and say, while it might not be like a poster car that kids are going to have on their walls, what it's done to the market is still effective and important.
I think it is. Yeah. And I think this car will get its day. I think the value of these cars is going to maintain and even go up.
I agree.
I've got my number where hopefully I have the number in one hand. When that number in the market reaches it, they'll go down. Yeah. And, maybe one day I'll be able to own one and it would be up. But I think that it will be a good long-term car to have. These cars last forever. Yeah. And they're tons of fun, high-tech, all of that.
And if not, you can just get a used C8 Corvette.
Hey, you know what?
Thing, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I probably won't be able to see any better than I do now, too.
Exactly. Yeah. You'll be walking to it, and it won't make any difference.
I bought that first generation NSX, and I was warned that somebody was going to call it a Corvette. I have a 1991 silver NSX, and I was warned people are going to call it a Corvette. And I kid you not, the next day, this dude, oh yeah, Corvette's awesome. Just saw me in a parking lot. Corvette's awesome. Like, really, that happened that fast? And it's been at least a dozen times since then. Yeah, in 1 year.
Well, I'm sure now that this one is out, it's only going to get worse.
I don't know, man.
Because it's like that, the shape of the Corvette definitely changed from the current version.
And you know what? I guess if you're used to this Corvette, the Corvette has been plastered everywhere for like a couple of years now. Of course, it looks like that's what you see when you see a mid-engine supercar.
Really, I think it says what the depth of your experience with cars is, if this is what you recognize it as, because you really don't have a very granular or evolved.
We had side-by-sides up, and the 488 Italia and the R8 don't look remarkably different from any of each, unless you look at the actual design. Yeah. So anyway, long story short,
I compared it. I said it's like if you look at a grapefruit and an orange, and you're like, this is the same thing. It is not the same thing.
They're not the same thing.
But you could understand how maybe a child could get them confused.
Yeah. A properly sized grapefruit and an orange look a lot alike.
They can.
So, hey, you know what? It's not a C8. I just had to put that out there. I blatantly disagree. It's a great car. So another thing that happened in the video, somewhere in the first third of it, the marketing lady, her name is Amy, by the way, was pulling the cover off, and as she got to the back of the car, she tripped on the little transition. It was on a rotating table, and she basically, like, her heel slid, and she had to, like, catch herself and bundle up the tarp as though nothing had happened. And
she rolled with it, too.
And she rolled with it immediately after, started chuckling about it, and you know, it was something that I was there, and I didn't even notice that that had happened.
That's a professional.
I even watched the video, and I didn't even notice that it happened. But it's very clear in the video, and it was kind of funny. She thought it was funny. But a couple of people commented, like, props for playing it off. But one guy said, how unprofessional. I'm like, what are you talking about? Like, she couldn't have done that any better. Like, you can't control if you're going to trip.
No, mistakes happen, and I think the real mark of professionality is bouncing back from them.
I think so. Yeah, you got to roll it out. You got to play it off, and I think she did an amazing job. So good job, Amy. And so another thing that got a lot of comments that I couldn't really ignore, and you know, I was there, and whenever you're at one of these reveal things, which my experience is truncated, but it's been pretty much the same both times, is that when that reveal happens, there isn't roaring applause, right? There's actually not even a lot of sound at all, right?
And how many people are there at these types of reveals?
I mean,
a couple hundred?
Probably. I mean, within eye shot, maybe 100.
Okay.
Right? 150 people at the most.
So it's not like a stadium or something.
But the thing is that most of the people are doing this.
True. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
You can't clap, and you're not going to shout in your phone, and like, it's an oddity that probably at some point in time when everybody wasn't armed with their own media device, that these things would get a little bit more applause.
Yeah, there would have been a little golf clap.
Yeah, maybe some golf clap, right, exactly. But, you know, there was really hardly any of that at all. And of course, you can't hear everything in a video from a cell phone either. It's mostly listening forward, and so sorry, there wasn't a whole ton of clapping. That just doesn't normally happen at these things, especially now in the media age where everybody's got their hands full recording audio, video, whatever they're doing. So yes, you're right. It is sort of a lackluster response, but you know, maybe Dancing Girls next time.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. Maybe a guy off screen, I think, just slightly off screen, that ripped his shirt off and shotgunned a beer, crushed it on his head.
Smashed it on his head.
Yeah. But you didn't see that.
Oh, Doyle rules?
Exactly.
Yeah. Yeah, you know, you just didn't see that. I mean, it was everything I could do to keep the camera steady.
Yes.
Now, but in all seriousness, yeah, you know, it doesn't really seem like, maybe we should overlay some audio of some clearing and chat, you know, like what they did with sitcoms, you know, put a laugh track in, put like exactly. So I hate that the deft silence had detracted from this reveal at all, because it really was nice to see a new design on the car. It's a great send-off for really what was a well-engineered, well-made car. It is a shame that they didn't sell more of them. I personally feel like the car needed to be, you know, 100, maybe 120,000, but it's just too much money for people to, in my position at least, to really aspire to at this stage, right? You know, your Honda fan guys, they don't all have that kind of money that it takes to spend on a car like that. So I think Acura probably could have sold more if they hit a lower price point.
Sure.
You know, somebody or a couple of people said they needed to make a non-electric rear-wheel drive version. Well, they did. It's called the GT3. It's a full race car, and it's all carbon. And, you know, sorry, they went the other way with it. They didn't make it simpler. They made it racier. So, which is a car that's successful in its own right, too. So the proof is in the pudding. These cars are great performance cars.
And I was actually going to say, I remember there's an anecdote about BMW making an M3, I think called the GTR, and they made it a street legal car that you could purchase, but they made it in such a small quantity simply because they had to have a street legal car in order to enter it into racing.
Homologanized.
Yeah.
How do you say it? Homologization.
We'll cut this out, probably.
No, there's no point. Somebody will correct us. And
Yes, yeah.
We know what we're saying. We know what we're saying.
They'll type the correction, and then we'll read it wrong.
Homologation.
Yes.
Homologation.
Homologation.
Yeah, it's a homologation production so that they can enter racing.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And so I can't help but wonder if, when Honda was planning the NSX, they were like, well, we'll sell some of them, but it's not like they were going to sell as many units
Well,
as,
they usually do build some kind of a race car out of it. Like, which brings me to probably the final point that I wanted to make, that this NSX really did usher in a little bit new of a design language and some more features and things that actually did find their way into lesser models, such as like the electro servo braking and the new TLX came from the NSX, and it's actually more refined. My friend Ira, he commented that the one in the NSX works really well, but the TLX is more refined. The hybrid electric combination of things is sort of like a peak thing, and I think we're waiting to still see that come down into a little bit more of an everyday model. We'll have to see if they're able to do something like that, maybe with the new Integra or something. Who the heck knows. But the NSX really did bring some stuff out that were going to make their way down into other cars too. So the purpose of a halo car like this isn't just to like give me all the money, right? From some of these manufacturers, they're not necessarily looking for
unit sales.
Unit sales. I mean, they are in the sense that, of course, they would like to make money, but they're only going to be able to make so many of them anyway. If it was a balls out hit, they couldn't probably make twice as many of them. They're all made, in one special factory.
Well, and that's why, like, Corvettes had leaf springs and push rods for ages and ages and ages, and they still have push rods. Which is pretty wild.
I think it's pretty great that they've developed the Corvette in the way that they did. I personally always liked the long hood, proportions of it.
Yeah, no, I won't shame the Corvette at all, but they obviously, units are the thing.
Well, units do the Corvette, for sure.
So they're just kind of an apples and oranges sort of comparison.
Yeah, and
goals.
You know what? That's totally true, and I think that we've covered a lot of the major points of that video, and so hopefully this video / podcast, whatever it turns itself into, I'd like to do more of these types of things with you, Graham. Because this isn't the only thing that we talk about.
No.
Right? We talk about all kinds of...
We BS about a fair amount of stuff. And Marcus has a lot of experience that I'm constantly kind of going, hey, what does one pick a paint shop? Or, what would you recommend for suspension on a car I'm trying to do this with or whatever? I'm always bouncing ideas off him.
And I have this inability to actually just answer a question. I've always got to turn it into some, pseudo-political talking point, something, some experience. He says I've got a lot of experience.
Yes.
I've got a lot of bad memories. So, honestly, I think that there's a lot more that we could talk about. So, we're going to just sort of try to develop this into something a little bit more regularly. But in the meantime, definitely leave us some comments. Let us know what you thought about some of our ideas and stuff here. I am fully aware that the comment section could fill up with, we're crazy, and it does look like a C8. Fine.
Then we'll make another video.
Back to you. So, whatever. Okay, well, I think that's all I had to talk about today.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Yeah, absolutely, Graham. We'll do another one later, and I guess the sign-off is just going to be it. We're done.
Thanks for subscribing. Thanks for joining us, and stay tuned for what's next with Heeltoe.
Yeah, whatever's going to be next, we'll see.
Yeah.
All right. Bye.
Bye.